Lauren Regan has activists and political movements in mind when she does legal work. So thank you to CLBC.
Quick question for you. Are you selling books tonight?
I am selling books.
And how much are they? Who do I make the check out to? So I got to go.
So tonight they're on sale for a discounted $20, and you can make checks out to me. The name's on the book.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll start on a personal note. I graduated from law school in '97 here in Eugene, and it was kind of the pre-WTO era for those of you that lived here at that time. We were the #1 bedroom community for anarchist breeding grounds in the country, according to our mayor. And there were a lot of, the timber wars were going on, and this was a very exciting place to be, during those years leading up to the WTO. Among them was a large contingent of anarchist organizers, Black Bloc, which were people that engaged in property damage as one of the tactics in their arsenal. And in the early 2000s, around the time period that Chris is talking about, now we know that there were massive FBI investigations going on here in Eugene because of the Green Scare arsons that were taking place between 1997 and 2003. So unbeknownst to us, we had an incredible flood of undercover FBI agents that were infiltrating, every meeting, potluck, parade, you name it. In response to this escalated organizing and as part of this militarization that Chris was talking about, and the fact that the Eugene Police Department recruited and hired a number of police officers that were fired as part of the LA Rampart cases. If for the law students in the room, there was a huge scandal that happened with the LA Police Department, corruption, brutality, etc. A bunch of those cops got canned, and they were hired here in Eugene. And so that, combined with the fact that there was a federal program that started at this time period that you may have heard of, where the military, all the branches of the military, were authorized to give for free all of their used military equipment to local police departments. The catch was that in order for the police department to keep these grenade launchers, night vision goggles, tanks, etc., they had to use them within 1 year of receiving them. And so when Eugene got their tanks and their other things, they had to use them on us within 1 year of getting them. And so as you saw the escalation of activism in our community, you also saw this direct escalation in police brutality, RoboCop style. It hasn't entirely left us, but as a result of several lawsuits, it certainly backed them down. And so this was the era that I was raised, I came from an environmental and animal rights background, and that's why I went to law school, and this was the era that I was earning my chops as a lawyer. In 2003 is when I started the CLDC, and very much along the lines of what Chris was saying, as an activist and as somebody who watched my friends get sold down the river basically, and leave activism because of bad experiences in the legal system, it was sort of my pledge to myself to try and create something that would that would treat activists with the respect that they deserve when risking their liberty for a cause. So that's so we're not really a collective, but we are very much, an organization that was raised in the idea that we do absolutely work with our activist clients, and we come from the philosophy, we'll give you all the options that are available to you as an activist, and what you say, as activists working together is what we'll do. We do lots of political trials, sometimes called show trials, meaning, that we might not be able to win, but we're going to, give it our best shot, because sometimes, that is the way activists can perpetuate their issues into the court and into the media and all of those other things that are so important these days. And the one other thing I did want to touch on before we open it up to discussion is just talking about, what does surveillance of activist communities look like now? And what we're seeing, in addition to the ongoing surveillance and entrapment that we see with regard to the federal government and the federal agencies, the FBI and Homeland Security, now really in the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen this incredible escalation of private security acting as spies. Corporations, the giant industries like TransCanada, who is responsible for the KXL pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline, and Peabody Coal, and Ringling Brothers, all these big moneyed corporations are now hiring their own spies who are not bound by even the rules that the feds have to comply with. There aren't a whole lot of rules for the FBI to follow, but these private spies don't even have to follow those. And most of these private spies worked for the FBI and left government service to collect a bigger paycheck from these corporations, and they go back and forth between government, private, and it's as if those lines really don't exist anymore. But before any mass protest occurs these days, particularly in the climate realm, because a lot of times we are talking about corporations, the corporations are touring the locations where they think protests are going to be happening, and they do PowerPoint presentations for the local prosecutors and the local cops and the local FBI agents. And they will show photos of who they think are going to be the media spokespeople and the key organizers, who they think are going to be the leaders, quote unquote. And they'll tell local law enforcement and the DAs, target these people, here's their photos, here's their names, this is what they look like. By the way, here's a list of all of these, inflammatory federal charges that you could potentially use on them if you want to. Here's the briefs on how to make those charges stick. Oh, and by the way, here's 15 cases of pepper spray that we donate to your local sheriff's department so you can use it on the activists if they try to hinder our profits by interfering with our work.